I'm being joined now on the program live from our Abuja studios by the Managing Director of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, George Urisi. Good morning and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Harriet.
Well, just before this conversation, I actually spoke with an aviation analyst, Olumide, and he mentioned that there's serious remodeling going on at some of the nation's airports. Could you just take us through some of this remodeling plans?
Yes, we are remodeling across the network of 22 airports. We are working simultaneously across the network. But the notion which people like Olumide continue to espouse, that we're doing that at the expense of other airport infrastructure that's safety related, is completely wrong. And I always wonder where these guys were the last 30-something years when our airports and our system was run aground and nothing was done about it. And now when people are taking on almost everything that was comatose, is now that they come out and say all these funny things that they say about airport terminals being remodeled at the expense of safety. That's totally untrue. We inherited a myriad of problems everywhere. Everything was totally wrong and bad. And in the 2 years we've been in authority, we have been fixing these things like they've never been done in more than a generation in this country. And unfortunately, what you get from so-called industry experts is all these accusations that are mischievous. If anyone knows about the certification of airports in this country, I do. I ran the first airport to be certified in Africa in 2005, so I know exactly what it takes to get airports certified. Airports don't get certified by leaving them.
Here, but you see, most times a lot of people they talk based on what they see, and this is what they are seeing, and they feel that nothing is really being done as much as it should be, which is the reason why they're forming these conclusions.
Well, let me tell you some of the stuff that's being done. An airport has to meet certain standards. Runways must meet certain standards of length, of width, of pavement strength, visual and navigational aids, markings, signage, lightings. All those things must meet international standards for you to operate an airport. A couple of years ago in this country, there was no fire cover whatsoever across the country. Even our president was at risk flying around the country because they wouldn't be able to respond to an incident if there was an incident with his aeroplane because there was no fire cover. Today, we are compliant with fire cover across the network of airports. There's so many things that go on behind, but what you see is the work that's going on the terminals. And I don't think it's right for people to misinform Nigerians and say that they are doing terminals at the expense of safety. The airport starts on the airfield, and that's what you must first keep working in line with the rest of the world. Yes, we're not certified yet, but it's not because we failed certification audits. It's because we haven't even had a certification audit done yet because the airports were not prepared for that. We've done so much in the last 2 years. In the first quarter of next year, which is our schedule, Murtala Mohammed and Nnamdi Azikiwe in Abuja will be certified. They are ready, or they will be ready by then. And then we're going to go to Port Harcourt, we're going to go to Kano, we're going to go to other airports. You don't just wish it. It's a lot of hard work that goes on in the background. And you can't call everybody to come and sit there watching you doing all this work. People must just reflect properly and understand where we are coming from. We are digging our industry out of the hole that these so-called experts buried it in the past 30 years.
Okay, so now let's take a look at some important components that everybody is going to be looking out for in the remodeling of these terminals, such as air conditioning, conveyor belts, and the likes of it. What is being done about all of this?
Excellent. Thank you very much. This is a rare opportunity to say the things we're doing. Murtala Mohammed Airport, the baggage belts came with this terminal in 1979. The air conditioning came with the terminal in 1979. The generators came with the terminal in 1979. Now, in the last 2 years, we have virtually turned that around. We finally brought in high-capacity baggage belts like you find in any other airport. They are now operational in the E-wing. They will soon be operational in the D-wing. We've expanded the 2 wings. We've put a new air conditioning system in that is modular, so there's no massive failure of air conditioning like we're experiencing right now. Because we're using the chillers that came in 1979, we're working as fast as we can to replace those chillers and then to decompartmentalize the air conditioning so that you don't have a failure across the terminal. These things take time to do. We're focused and we're doing them with all speed that we can achieve.
But the travelers are not going to be waiting for this to come on stream in the medium to long term. They want to see something now. So in the short term, what is being done to alleviate all the sufferings, let's put it that way, that they encounter when they have to travel? Bearing in mind that Olumide actually mentioned the fact that there are actually some generating plants that have not become operational for one reason or the other. Is this true?
Olumide doesn't know what's happening. They're listening to people telling them they don't know what's happening. Nobody in Nigeria wants those generators that we've installed to come on stream more than I do. They have to be completed, they have to be tested, and then they have to be handed over to FAAN. They're currently in the testing phase. And when the manufacturer says, I'm now happy that I can give this to you, here it is. And I'm putting so much pressure on them to hand over these things because I need them to come on stream at the airport.
But it's taking so long.
Where was Olumide all these 30-something years when there was no generators in Murtala Mohammed Airport?
Sorry, George, to cut you in. Let me just make this point. Most travelers, whether they're coming in or going out, want to see something done and want to see something done fast. Now, these generating plants are there. They're testing them and the likes of it, which is good. We need to know what it is that we're working with to ensure that it's going to carry most of the equipment that eventually will be loaded on this generating plants. But it's taking too long, don't you think, for the manufacturers to be testing these plants?
No, it's not. I'll tell you that, it's almost like the story of the tortoise that they say fell into a septic tank. We have done in a very, very, very short time to change what has been there for so many years. Let me tell you a story about power in MMA. You had 6 generators in 1979. One was cannibalized to service 5, and then 2 to service 4, and 3 were on the last one since 1979. So the people who are complaining must understand where we are coming from. We've stopped going down that path. We've come up with a new generating capacity that carries that entire airport. We have 6 of them. Only 2 can carry the entire airport precinct at once. And we have standby, and we have standby. It's going to come on stream very shortly. They are almost finishing testing now. But you must test. You can't accept something and start using it simply because, what if it breaks down tomorrow? This is how it's done in the rest of the world. But unfortunately, we left it too late. I'm telling you, we're digging an industry out of a grave where it was buried and trying to clean it up and start using it again. And at the very least, I want people to be a little patient to see that there's so much work that's going on, and we're not stupid. We're doing the work the way the rest of the world does it.
All right. So George, in doing this work, how much collaboration has there been with the private sector? Because we know that as much as possible, the public-private partnership initiative is a very good way to improve aviation infrastructure. So, any chance of that happening in the aviation sector? Because we know that there have actually been some cases where we've had the private partnership, and it really hasn't gone too well. So any situation where this might improve and help improve the aviation sector in the long run?
Absolutely. The one area where Olumide was right is the fact that we must proceed towards private sector involvement in airport operations and management in Nigeria. What these guys don't understand, and I know because I come from that private sector and PPP, the most successful PPP arrangement in the airports industry, it takes a minimum of 18 months to put together a proper airport concession when it's done correctly. You can't rush it. You can't do it in 2 months or 3 months unless you want to do an arrangement, which is one of the things that has been killing us in the past. So government took a decision and said, you know what, we are in such a rut. We need to intervene and get things to a certain level where we can then have a good basis upon which to proceed into any kind of arrangement we choose to, whether it's PPP, whether it's outright privatization, whether it's concessioning, whether it's management contracts. There are many success models in the world. But we needed to get things stable and then proceed. Now, I must tell you something. With a loan from the Chinese for these new terminals, it includes the fact that we would have to have professional management in the airports in order for the money to be recouped. And that's part of the conditions for the deal, which makes me very happy, which means that in the next couple of years, we will move into those arrangements, but we will do them properly like the rest of the world does them, and not any kind of backyard arrangement that we are used to doing in this country.
Okay, so now,
and we'll
George,
be handing over to them airports that function.
All right, so now looking at the fact that strong remodeling is ongoing, very, very strong process. When the airport facilities are eventually upgraded, will it increase or reduce the high cost of taxes levied on passengers by airport authorities?
As a matter of fact, that too is a misconception. It will surprise you to know, even though people keep saying that these taxes are high, they are not. The taxes for passenger service charge, for instance, have been in place for more than 10 years in this country. Only in 2011 did we increase for the first time in more than 11 years. In every other country in the world, these things are reviewed between 2 and 3 years, upwards between 2 and 3 years all the time. But in Nigeria, it was left for a very long time. So in the real sense of the word, there's been no inflation in these taxes as it respects the airlines. We only had one increase in that period. We are developing the airports without increasing any of the charges. So for people to say to you the costs are high, they create the impression that they are very, very, very high, but they're not. Relatively, they are very low.
But you see, most times they will complain about this if they don't see anything being done, but they're being charged for it. So it's really like rubbing their nose to, or cutting off their nose to spite their face. They feel that if I have to pay such high levies, why don't I see the money's being channeled positively into development of infrastructure in the airports?
Well, Harriet, they could have said that in the years before we became the heads of these authorities. But in the time we've been here, if anyone is in any airport and he wants to see if anything is being done with the money they're paying, the evidence is right there in front of them. There's work going in our airports like they go on everywhere else in the world. This is something that wasn't happening in this country. We went to sleep for more than 30 years.
Now, George, just before I let you go, is there a time frame to ensure the completion of these projects?
Oh, yes. If I had, as we call it, a jazz man who could make it all happen this afternoon, I would be very, very happy. Unfortunately, airports have to be built. And you will know if you go to any airport in the world, I'm sure you travel, an airport is a permanent construction site. They are always constructing. But the peculiar situation we are in, especially in Murtala Mohammed, is that a lot of construction has to happen and you can't close the airport to do it. So there's a lot of inconvenience, it's messy, it's dirty. And I've seen that before. I know that at the end of the day, people will come into Murtala Mohammed. That Murtala Mohammed you're looking at now, people will come into it at this time next year and they'll go, oh, wow, I didn't know we could achieve this. I wish I had the time to take you through the things we're doing there, but we're doing them quietly. They are happening in the background. Very soon, we'll begin to commission the various areas and the various different things, the power upgrade, the new capacity for screening, the removal of those tables in front of check-in where people are harassed and searched. All those things don't happen anywhere else in the world. We've fought almost a religious war to get those things out of there, and they're about to get out of there now. And you'll begin to see a semblance of a modern airport in MMA.
Well, thank you so much, George, for speaking with us this morning on the program. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much.